Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal Algérie. First, to the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, installs the members of the High Council of Energy, a council that will define and follow up the guidelines of the National Energies Policy. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Algeria, Abdullah bin Nasser Abdullah Abun Sayri. And the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, grants an audience to the Ambassador of the Republic of Congo, Jean-Pierre Louiebo, who terminated his diplomatic mission in Algeria. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Chingireha, carries out an inspection and working visit to the command of the Naval Forces. Good evening, those were today's top stories. First, now today's news, and in accordance with Article 91, Paragraph 7 and Article 141, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution, the President of the Republic, Tebboune, installed on Tuesday the members of the High Council of Energy. This latter will define and follow up the guidelines of the National Energies Policy, the country's energy security, as well as the regulation of the national energy market. In other news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Tuesday the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Algeria, Abdullah bin Nasser Abdullah Abu Nusayri, who delivered to him a message from the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, in which he expressed his feelings of brotherhood and friendship and hailed the coordination and consultation existing between the two countries. In his message, the Saudi king said that he shares views with President Tebboune on the necessity of unifying the Arab ranks and concerted work for the development of the Arab nation. On this occasion, the custodian of the mosques stated to the President of the Republic the commitment of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to its constant position regarding the Palestinian cause for the establishment of the State of Palestine with Al-Quds as its capital in accordance with the 1967 borders and the respect of the international legality. Still with the presidential activity, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, granted an audience to the Ambassador of the Republic of Congo, Jean-Pierre Louiebo, who terminated his diplomatic mission in Algeria. The audience took place in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency, Abdelaziz Khalaf. Let us now have a listen to Jean-Pierre Louiebo.
Nous venons d'être reçus par son Excellence, Monsieur le Président Abdelmajid Tebboune, qui nous a fait l'honneur de nous recevoir au moment où...
I've been received by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. It is an honor for me as I prepare to leave this beautiful country, Algeria, where I spent 10 years of my life, where I've made numerous friends, and where I've made beautiful memories that will forever be engraved in my memory. President Tebboune honored us by receiving us during this blessed month of Ramadan. We've discussed several issues at both regional and international levels. I've followed the analysis of President Tebboune, which President Denis Sassou shares in all their dimensions. We've also saluted the relations binding the two countries, namely Algeria and Congo, as well as their people. President Tebboune instructed me to inform the President Denis Sassou Nguesso of a series of proposals, and I will do so as soon as possible.
On Tuesday, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, terminated the functions of Issa Belakhdar, advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of religious associations, following his violation of confidentiality. Moving on to the parliamentary activity, the Council of the Nation held a plenary session chaired by the President of the Senate, Salah Goujil. The session was devoted to the presentation of bills on the provisions of the election of members of the High Council of the Judiciary and the bill on the Judiciary Division. In another development, and following the President of the Republic's message, which he sent to the Secretary General of the United Nations, it made an echo, notably among the Palestinians who know the importance of the pressure the international community has on the Zionist occupation forces. The details with Ines Killu.
As expected, Algeria's reaction to violations of the Israeli occupation forces did not take long. Indeed, Algeria addressed the Secretary General of the United Nations to put an end to the atrocities committed by the occupying army against the Palestinians inside the second holy mosque after Mecca or Al-Quds al-Sharif. I welcome the Algerian position, which we will never forget, and has nothing to do with those of other Arab capitals. Unfortunately, the official Arab position rewards the colonial forces through normalization. Algeria's official reaction to the United Nations and its warning against any further deterioration in situation in Palestine made the front page of the Palestinian press and was very well received by Palestinians. The warning made by Algeria to the Secretary General of the United Nations reflects the risks faced by the Mosque of Al-Aqsa, a position which is not foreign to the Algerian president, which has always supported the right of the Palestinian people to independence. For the Palestinians, the support of Algeria is of great importance in view of their daily suffering. The messages of support from Algeria, its president and its people comfort us. Algeria is the only country which supports the Palestinian cause. What caught our attention is the solidarity of Algeria with us, but also the strong condemnation of the Algerian government. It is a pride for us to see the Algerian position after the normalization of some Arab countries with the Zionist entity. The message sent by Algeria to the United Nations authorities found a great echo among the Palestinians, who know the importance of the international community's pressure on the Zionist occupation forces.
Still with the Palestinian cause, and as part of the efforts made by Algeria to grant international protection for Palestinian civilians in occupied Al-Quds and put an end to the oppression practiced by the Zionist occupation forces, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community of Brother Ramadan Al-Amamra held consultations with several of his Arab counterparts, the Palestinian Riyad Al-Maliki, the Jordanian and the Tunisian, as well as the Secretary General of the League of the Arab States, Ahmed Abul Ghaith. In other news, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, paid a working and inspection visit to the Naval Forces Command, a visit that reflects the particular interest granted by the High Command of the National People's Army to the Naval Forces, which is considered as an important element in the modern conflict resolution process. The details with Melissa Kubash.
After being welcomed by Major General Mahfoud bin Maddah, commander of the Naval Forces, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingriha, observed a moment of reflection in memory of the martyr Boujum'a Swidani, whose headquarters of this command bears his name, led with a flower in front of his commemorative stele, and recited the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, or Fatiha. Following the welcoming ceremony, the Lieutenant General held a meeting with the executives and personnel of the Naval Forces Command, where he delivered the keynote speech, which was followed via video conference by all the units of this commandment. On this occasion, the Lieutenant General emphasized the particular interest given by the High Command of the National People's Army to our naval forces, recalling that the recent wars and the current world situation have proven the importance of naval forces as an essential component in the modern conflict resolution process, given the particular characteristics of its strength, notably its flexibility, autonomy, and great ability to maneuver in the high seas, making it a strategic and vital weapon. Adding that our country has a maritime facade extended over more than 1,200 kilometers. Therefore, the High Command of the National People's Army, in accordance with the instructions of the President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune, bear a particular interest to the naval forces. The Lieutenant General Said Shangriha also underlined that this interest aims at boosting the operational and combat capabilities of our naval forces to make it a real deterrent force, especially that these forces constitute an essential element in our defense system and a crucial factor in the defense of our territorial waters against all forms of threats and danger. Adding that this particular attention also aims to restore consideration to the Algerian Navy, which was during past centuries at the height of its glory, and that this past can only be a source of pride and determination to put the naval forces of the National People's Army on the right track. At the end of this meeting, the General of the Army listened to interventions and proposals made by executives and personnel of the Naval Forces Command before giving orientations and instructions on the imperative of the preservation and the rational use of the materials, as well as the protection of our country against all scourges, namely illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and the looting of our fisheries resources.
And we wrap up our today's news with sports. The draw of the AFCON, or African Cup of Nations, qualification matches took place on Tuesday in Johannesburg in South Africa. The draw started with 4 pots. Algeria, which was in pot 1, will play in Group F with Uganda, Niger, and Tanzania. And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for your attention.